worthy place to put one's attention. I think what really is important right now is to figure out how to. Who asked the question? Because I can't see. I was trying to look at you. Oh, okay, cool. How do we create the bridging mechanisms to bring into manifestation this more positive reality that we feel could exist and feel very strongly can exist when we come here? And it seems to me, and the one thing I'm working on now is a new magazine and media project which is called Medicine, and the idea is to disseminate a whole amount of like sort of tools and information to people, even stuff on permaculture, complementary currencies, really kind of sustainable uses of production, producing commodities that don't destroy as you produce them. So yeah, I'd be happy. I was actually going to sort of send out this notebook, or people can come up and give me their emails if they want to be included on our email list for this project, which will hopefully launch in December. So I think it's really like the key is not to, and that's I think one of the problems with Terence McKenna is that he really had people kind of projecting onto this 2012 date that it's like, it's all going to just happen, and we just got to like lay back and wait, and we're evolved, we're taking psychedelics, it's amazing. No, it's completely the opposite. The only thing that's going to happen is what we do. We have to take full responsibility, complete responsibility for this situation and manifest and go absolutely deeper and deeper into the transformational process on a kind of personal and social and professional and societal level. I don't think it's more. It's not. It's more of both. I think that because when you begin to really think about it, we've neglected this whole subjective domain of consciousness. Like Jung talked about the reality of the psyche and how most people were actually not able to really, really conceive that or ground that idea in reality. So I think it's actually what we'll find is that it's both more scientific and more intuitive. Right. Oh yeah, I meant to talk about that. Yeah. Well, I think that people tend to be very, very scared right now, very, very anxious. There's this obvious, it's constant kind of ratcheting up of the pressure, this sense like, you feel it when you go to an airport. The TV, the whole thing, it's like this fear vibration is just increasing continuously. And it probably is going to keep increasing. I think one of the really amazing things about right now is how things are getting so much better and so much worse. Constantly. It is fucking awesome. It is like mind-blowing just to like wrap your mind around that, and I don't see why that's not just going to keep happening. It's just going to keep getting more intense. It's going to get better and it's going to get worse. And the only way to love it is to surrender to the process. None of us are in control of the process. It's like a non-dual integrated situation that you can only attain mastery over. You can't control it, but you can surrender to it. And the deeper you go into the surrender, the deeper you can kind of work with the energy and work on the transformation. So yeah, I think you have to love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a really interesting and I think very important point that Daniel makes about taking these indigenous cultures seriously if you're going to take on the shamanic worldview or the shamanic perspective of the world. What it boils down to actually is what your worldview is. What's the frame of reference you use to make sense of this place? For example, if your frame of reference was that of the Bush crime family, you most likely wouldn't be listening to this podcast, I guess, that if your frame of reference, though, is the ancient shamanic traditions, then what Daniel's suggesting is that you begin exploring the personal ramifications of your worldview and see how it fits with the way you're living. For what it's worth, I also subscribe to much of Kalaman's interpretation of the Mayan calendar. I can't say I identify with some of his final conclusions in the last chapters where he gets a little bit too religious-oriented for my taste, but overall I like his interpretation of the Mayan calendar as a map of human consciousness. A couple years ago, after I'd first heard about Kalaman and read one of his books, I found a way, I thought at least, to test one of his hypotheses, or a part of it. Of According to Kalaman, the 8th age, the galactic age, is to be an age of ethics. And this age began in January of 1999 and ends, as do all the preceding Mayan ages, winter solstice in 2012. I guess I ought to mention, though, that Kalaman claims the date to be sometime in October in 2011, but that cat fight between scholars isn't something I care to spend any of my time on right now. What's important to me is the overall flow of events right now. The specific dates, I think, are going to take care of themselves. Daniel seems to support that idea as well. As long as we know where the current is going to take us, we shouldn't be too surprised when things happen a little sooner or later than predicted. Now, after all, the physical event that we're talking about here is when our sun eclipses the black hole that lies at the center of our galaxy. It's also the moment, by the way, when our solar system crosses into a different hemisphere in the galaxy. Now, on this planet, when you have water swirling down a drain, it goes in different directions depending on which hemisphere the drain happens to be in. Maybe consciousness will begin to spin in a different, maybe more Gaian direction once the Earth crosses into a new hemisphere of the galaxy. At least these things are kind of fun to think about, don't you think? Particularly here in the Psychedelic Salon. One thing Kalaman said, though, that really made me take notice is that the midpoint of our present age, the galactic age, was June 2nd, 2005, just a few months ago. And he went on to say that after that date, the ethics scale would tip, and from then on, the more unethical a person was, the worse things are going to get for him. Now, a few of the things I've noticed that have happened since that date are the Downing Street memos came out, white-collar criminals are getting longer sentences, the leaders of the House of Representatives and the Senate are all being investigated, as are all the top people in the administration, including the President and Vice President, just to name a few of the little ethical lapses that are catching up with little Georgie boy. Now, I guess that was sort of a long way of saying that you'll be well advised, in my opinion, to maybe re-listen to this talk that Daniel just gave. In fact, you probably want to listen to it several times before you really grok the big picture he's pulling together here. Personally, I can't wait to read Daniel's new book. And if you want to stay in close touch with what he's going on, go to his website, which is www.breakingopenthehead.com. And one of the other exciting things that Daniel is up to is he's about to launch a new magazine this winter. So stay tuned and check Daniel's website and the Matrix Masters websites as well for announcements about that. Well, I guess I better stop talking and let you get on to the other podcast we're putting up today, and that's Eric Davis's Burning Man talk that followed the one by Daniel that we just heard. A big thank you to Bruce Damer for recording this, and along with Galen for the pictures we posted of this event on our Palenque Norte 2005 Burning Man page. And as always, Daniel, thanks for all you've done for the tribe in particular, and also for this lecture series. In case some of you don't know it, Daniel has been a featured speaker at every Palenque Norte lecture series since they first began, and his support has been a big factor in the success of the Burning Man lectures. For sure, I want to thank the entire Maps Bops Snowflake Village team. I've received emails from a lot of people who attended one or more of the talks this year, and every one of them has been raving about the facility. So you guys did a spectacular job this year and made an important and positive impact on the 2005 Burning Man Festival. You're the best, you guys. Thanks for all your hard work. It's really appreciated. And our theme music here in the Psychedelic Salon is Compliments of Chateau Hayuk. Thanks again, you guys. And thank all of you out there in Cyberdelic space where we share this virtual Psychedelic Salon. For now, this is Lorenzo signing off from Cyberdelic space. Be well.